a fresh edition of your program. My name is Banji Busari. This is our midweek edition. Of course, this is Summit, where we give you updates about what's going on within the country and even beyond. You'll be wondering why I'm the one doing the introduction today. Yes, Jumoke is on an assignment. Be sure that she's going to join us very, very soon. It's the midweek edition, and we're looking at issues in the polity. Thank God the 10 days of rage, the hunger protest, of end bad governance protest, whatever tag you may have given to it, has finally come to an end. But it's not uhuru yet. As a matter of fact, the protesters, the organizers of the protest are also saying that they may come back very, very soon, very soon. How soon is that going to be? So today we're actually focusing on governance. Yes, end bad governance. How do we end bad governance in this country? Of course, you and I know that things have not really worked very well for us in this part of the world. Talking about Nigeria, our leadership from one regime, from one administration to another, have always engaged in blame game, putting the blames on the previous administrations. Yes, solutions are never found. You are welcome. Of course, I'm just giving you the background to our focus today on Summit. You know our tradition, you know we don't do it alone. We only provide a platform. We have an analyst in the house, somebody that I'm sure you are familiar with, a friend of the house, a communication strategist, a communication consultant, and a public affairs analyst. I have the pleasure to bring onto your screen Mr. Ademola Adegoke. It's our pleasure, sir.
Thanks so much, Banji, for having me once again, and good morning, viewers at home. Nice being with you once again.
Thank you for always responding, always acceding to our request to be on the program.
And thanks for counting me worthy of being on your platform.
Yes, that's our guest. And then, as I said earlier, we are we're focusing on how to achieve good governance in Nigeria. The role of the subnational. The role of the subnational. You and I will recall that in the last 10 days, the first 10 days of the protest, the blame and the agitations were always about the federal government. What has Tinubu's administration done since May 2023? A lot of factors were actually attributed to the hardship and the hunger in the land. And a part of them, essentially, the removal of oil subsidy, the floating of naira, and so many others. His policies were unfriendly. And as a matter of fact, he should withdraw. He should actually remove those policies. So it was all about federal government. But don't forget that, sir, we're in a federalism where we have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal, we have the states, and the local government, 774 local government, 36 states and Abuja. Then the federal only 1. So the question is, what are the roles of the subnationals, that's the states, in ensuring that Nigerians enjoy good welfare, they enjoy good security, social stability, economic stability, and live like other counterparts, other nationals of the other parts of the globe. That's our focus. Now, before we actually go into that, what's a little review of the last protest? What would you say are the gains and what would you say are the losses?
Well, maybe I will have to start by also raising some questions, some posers. And regarding the protest, the first question will be: are there grounds for protest? And I would say yes. Is it within the right of any citizen to protest? I would say yes. But is the focus? Did the protesters get their protest right? I would say no. Did they articulate their point well enough? I will say no. And how right is their strategy? And I will say no, from the background of a perception management practitioner. And when we're looking at whether
Probably the
there are
questions,
grants,
sorry to cut in. Maybe your question should have also included was there right responses from the other end.
okay, from the other end, okay. Now let's start with grants for protest. We all know that there is hardship in the land, and the citizen will not bother what is being done by government in terms of policy planning and implementation. What the citizen wants to see is how those policies translate into positive development in his own life. So if the government is doing anything saying we are planning, and the effect is not being felt, there must be complaint. Also, if you are asking me to make sacrifice, for recovery of the economy, if you are asking me to make sacrifice so that things that were wrongly done in the past could be undone and we are put on the right path of growth and development, if you are asking me to make those sacrifices, I will be ready, but to the extent that I don't see you doing, the negative of making sacrifices, living like, nothing has actually changed. So there are grants for protest by the citizen. One, because the effect of whatever government is doing has not been well, felt by the citizen. And again, perception is everything. The people cannot see, even from the government, that truly any sacrifice is being made. And so when that situation exists, of course, the citizen will complain. And so there are grants for protest. Now, but let's now look at the articulation, the planning, the focus, and everything. One, also as a perception manager, I know that if you have a campaign, your campaign starts even with the theme that you have given to it. When end bad governance, right, you understand, hunger protest, right, but when you now say days of rage, you understand, the connotation that gives is that we know what rage means. We know what goes with rage, because rage connotes anger. And when anger comes in, reason takes a flight. And so I think the way packaging of your message is also very, very important. And I want to, believe that, maybe in the future, the organizers of protests like this, we, think so well on how they package their message. And when you now say days of rage, you are already sending out the message to people that will partake in your protest, or people that are ready to hijack, that we are to manifest rage. So to that extent, I do not agree with the strategy there. But I'm still talking about strategy now. And that will now take us to the question you first raised about governance. What should be the role of that we are in a federation? And bad governance, which is a very good message to end bad. We all want good governance. But the question that now follows is what are the levels of governance that we are focusing on? Are we focusing only on on just one level of governance, or we are taking governance in a holistic manner. I didn't see much of that in the last protest. I didn't see much of taking governance in a holistic manner. I didn't see much of that. And the reason is not far-fetched. You know that what the federalism that we practice today, the foundation for it was laid by the ministry. In fact, the architect of the constitution we practice today, the architect of the governance structure, the builders, if you like, of the governance, the governance system and structure that we have in place today in Nigeria was the military. And federalism is not something that sits well with the military by their own command structure. It's not something that sits well with the military command structure, because federalism simply means that there are levels of government. There is a central government, then there are also autonomous government levels at the subnational with the subnationals.
At the state level.
At the state level, the commander-in-chief under the military that sits in Abuja or wherever, even when Lagos was the capital, cannot brook a situation, where he gives orders, and in any case, the governors under the military were the appointees of the military head of state or military president, as Babangida dubbed himself. So that system has now unitarized our own federal, supposed federal system. And we are yet to wean ourselves of that mentality. The government is yet to, the people are yet to wean themselves, to purge themselves of that mentality of one man sitting in Abuja and acting as the monolith, if you like, or Leviathan over the whole federation. So, but if you like, what should be the role of the subnationals to answer your question? We know what the Constitution says, that roles are assigned to the federal government, roles are assigned to the state government, and even roles are assigned to the local government councils. Now the question is, how well is each person playing that role, or each level playing that role? And when we say bad governance, is it only at the federal level that bad governance is taking place? What about the state? What about the local government councils? And for me, what should be the rule is that if we are talking of end bad governance, if the federal government ends bad governance and the subnationals, the states and the local government councils continue to propagate and perpetuate bad governance, we get nowhere. So for me, I think that we have to take governance in a holistic manner, in a way that we look at every strand of governance.
Okay,
and we look at how it fits into our desired idea of governance.
Now, the creation of the state and local government must have been informed by the reason of making governance closer to the people.
Yes.
That is for people to feel governance, for them to enjoy the spoils of, the benefits of governance through their state governors and local government. Now, every month in this country, there's what is called FAC, That's a federal account committee, federal account committee, where states run to Abuja and get a portion of the allocation for the particular month. Between January and May this year, almost about 10 trillion have been shared to the states and between the states, federal government and the local government. The states themselves, for instance, a state like Delta has gotten well over almost 500 billion within these first 5 months. Same for other states. Since the removal of subsidy, for instance, almost all states have had their allocations jacked up by minimum of 40%, some as much as 100%. Now the question is, the humongous money that has been made available to the states through the removal of subsidy and all of that. I mean, do you think people have seen the impact of this allocation?
People have not seen. People have not seen, and that is the and you see, and that is the pain here, and that is the worry. That while we focus mainly on the federal government, that is not to insulate the federal government from the blame. That is not to say that it does not have its own part, of the rough deal.
Of course, it gets about 52%.
That is not to say that it does not have its own share of the rough deal that is being meted out to citizens. That is not to say that. But then let me say this by the side. Are we not deluding ourselves to think that the problem of 36 states of the Federation, just like you mentioned earlier, the problem of 774 local government council areas, and the problem of several thousands of votes in the country, in Nigeria, will rest only on just one man? Will rest solely on the shoulders of one man?
No, the question is, have people felt? Why are people not asking questions?
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. So, if that much you just cited, that much sum that you just mentioned has gone to the states, why are questions not being asked of the states or of the superintendents of the states, by which I mean governors? Why are questions not being asked of them? Why is it that you see a state providing some semblance, I will say, of good governance, and you will see some states virtually doing nothing? I was surprised when, and I'll give you an example, during the protest, the protesters had marched to the office of the Edo State governor. That's
Governor
Godwin Obaseki. And what was his response? Because one of your questions was the right response given to the protest. Of course, maybe you have the federal government in mind, but I want to go beyond that. We come to that of the federal government. And what did Governor Obaseki say when he was going to respond? The only thing he said, which I think, is nothing but playing on the intelligence of the people of Edo State, playing on the intelligence of the protesters themselves, which they did not realize, because there and there they ought to have responded. What did he say? I have heard your protest. I will send your message to Abuja. Does that kind of person understand his role as governor of a state?
Well, talking along that line, even Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers, said something similar, that he will convey the grievances to President Tinubu.
Now, the question is this: do our governors really understand their role in governance. Because like you mentioned, they are the closest, at least closer to the people than the federal government. You understand? And you are to galvanize growth. You are to initiate, to plan to galvanize growth within your home space. And when you are now doing buck passing, blame game, do you really understand your role as the governor of a state? So, and I had expected that the people, citing the case of Edo, say that the people will, immediately say, no, sir. We know that, yes, there are messages for the federal government. But what about you? What are you doing here, to improve agriculture? We are all shouting, hunger, hunger, hunger. Is it only the federal government that we galvanize, investment in agric at state level? After all, the land by the Land Use Act belongs to the governors. What are you doing? With the land that you have, you could see what and that's why I've said some governors are providing, what looks like a semblance of good governance. Look at the investment that the Niger governor is making in agriculture. Why can't we task all our governors to do same? You understand? I do not see what can be done in Niger that cannot be done in Oyo State, with the vast, land resources that Oyo has gotten, that even in my own state of Ekiti has gotten. Why can't we replicate same everywhere, so that we at least know that
you probably will recall that the recent action of a Niger State governor was a response to I think about 2 months ago, the invitation of the President Tinubu, the governors to resume in Abuja for a meeting on what to do at the state level.
At the state level.
To ameliorate, to alleviate the sufferings of the masses. And that each state governor should go back and look at what they could do to improve economy and then to reduce hunger in their state. That must have been as a result of that meeting. Yeah. That's what Niger State governor did. Yeah. I'm not too sure that other state governors keyed into that call or that interventionist approach.
They are not. They are not. And so everybody is waiting for the federal government alone to, initiate and execute plans for agricultural investment, even at the state level, even at local government level. I think like I've said, we are having a very jaundiced, a very warped, distorted view of what federalism should be.
I'm told that the current, the high inflationary level in the country, and as a matter of fact, the foreign exchange that has made Naira to be crashing by the day, that is the state government or the state governors can partly be held responsible for that. That is what is called round tripping of currency. Now, it's alleged that most governors, the week after receiving the federal allocation, approach the Bureau de Change officers to convert this money, huge, humongous amount of money, into dollars for their private keeps.
And
do you not think that's an issue that requires a kind of
what that speaks to is that the citizens should call for more transparency in the disbursement of the allocation that each state gets from the central government. And in any case, I do not even believe in that system, in that prebendal system that has turned the subnationals into
feeding bottle system.
thank you
Feeding
for
bottle
finding
system.
the right expression for me. That they have all become, like beggars that will carry, with a cap in hand, go to the central government every month. You are as state governors, and this is why I say, we need to interrogate. We are asking about, you are saying, what should be the role of the subnationals? Their role is to trigger growth. Their role is to think. You understand how my own space can outdo every other state in the federation in growth, in development, in investment. But when you are not thinking in revenue generation, when you are not thinking about that, when all that you are, that you are occupied with is how you send your commissioner of finance to Abuja every month. And when you come, it will even have been good if when you go, cap in hand and bring the money, you sit down and you now say, which area has the worst road in the state? Let us reconstruct, or we rehabilitate the road. The schools, the commissioner of education, what is the state of schools? How many teachers do we need? If that is what you do, maybe we will still pardon you that, okay, you are not creative enough to generate your own funds, but at least the one that you get, you understand, you are disbursing well. But when you are not doing that, it is even very bad now, very, very, very bad, that you now go and collect the money. You are not using for the people, you are using, for yourself and your cronies and your political, associates. That is bad enough. And these are the things that we should interrogate. This is the only way to end bad governance, not merely by going on the street. Citizens engagement, transparency and openness in governance, and the state fund disbursement. These are the things that we should be talking about.
I'm sure you are aware of the current controversy regarding this, either it's called loan or grant. Part of the response of President Tinubu during the protest was that a grant of 573 billion naira have been made available to states to cushion the effects of hardship and hunger and all that in the land. But some of the governors, particularly the governor for your state, Seyi Makinde, has come out and said he was not aware that no such money was given to states, 573 billion. Other states have also said that. But the question, the response of the federal government was, whether it was regarded as a grant or loan, the fact is that the monies have been made available to the state. I mean, I like to ask whether it was a grant or a loan. Have people felt the impact of such grants?
I have said it. We have not felt it. And how can we feel it? You see, if you are doing something on my behalf, I am supposed to be in the know. You understand? We will never feel it. You understand? We will never feel it. So long governance is done like a court. And that is the way it is presently.
Like a court.
Like a court that the citizen does not have. I am using this platform to call for more openness, more transparency, more citizen engagement and citizen involvement in the running affairs of the state. And how can the citizen be involved? When you collect your money, we want, if you like, throw your cards wide open on the table. Let the citizen know what you are spending this month. This is how much has come into the coffers of the state from the central government. This is how much we have generated on our own. This is how much we are going to use to service loans, and other financial obligations. And this is how much we are going to deploy into development, into growth and development of the state. Until we do that, nothing, we will never fail, because they collect the money. After all, this money is collected on our behalf.
Whether it's a loan,
whether it's a grant, whether whatever you call it, You understand? Whatever way we are tagged it, the money does not belong to the governor. It doesn't belong to his cabinet. It belongs to the people of the state. And the people that you are spending for, deserve the right to know what you are spending on their behalf.
I recall that during the administration of the former governor of Lagos State, that Babatunde Raji Fashola, there used to be a kind of frequent engagement on a 100 days basis. That's every 100 days. He would actually invite the stakeholders, the citizens, to a forum. It was stakeholders forum where people will have one-on-one with the governor regarding their agitations, their requests, or whatever it is they lack in their various communities. This governor, this current governor, Evangelist Owulu, has also kind of sustained that, but not at the frequent rate that Dr. Fashola did. His is maybe it's on the maybe 6 monthly basis and all of that. But the truth is that Lagos State governor can be said to be engaging. The question is, how well or to what extent can the citizens request or agitate without necessarily going on the street for the information about how monies are dispensed or disbursed or spent for the purposes they were meant? I mean, from Abuja.
Of course they can. You see, and that is why we've got to have a very good knowledge of the system we run before we can. How many people even know that your representative in the House of Assembly, in the Senate, in the House of Rep can actually be recalled if he's not? The Constitution provides for that. If he's not doing the right thing. But how many times have we explored that avenue? We have never in this country, whereas the provision is there. So we need to constantly, act as a check, as a pull, on these people, so that whenever we say that they are going off mark, we, call them to order. And the way to do that is you have representatives in the House of Assembly. How much engagement are you having with that House of House of Assembly member? And we can ask it up to House of Rep and then the Senator. We can ask them questions.
How? You go to them, you write to them.
You write to them. Of course, citizens, like this protest now. I expect that it can, in fact, by the time, because the legislators are supposed they are supposed to be performing oversight functions on the executive. Yes, we see them going around, but when all these oversight functions, to what extent do they actually bring out the imperfection, bring out and correct the imperfection within the system to say, Governor, so, you have not done this well.
You took money for ecological fund. You did not, you diverted.
So,
or it was, we did not see results.
But you see, we will not, but the House will not do that if there is no pressure from their constituents, the people. The House, the House goes, the House members or committee members, go to the various government ministries, departments and agencies, and they are served tea, and they go. Say, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. So the citizen, if we are the pressure that, and that is why I've said, I said it just some minutes ago, that we will be deluding ourselves, you understand, to think that the problem of 36 states of the Federation, 774 local government council areas, several thousands of council wards, will rest solely on the shoulders of one man. So all are involved in governance. So it is not just about Tinubu. It is about Tinubu, yes, as the president, the buck stops at his table. It is about the 36 state governors. It is about the local government councils, the local government council chairman. It is about his councillors. It is about, his supervisors. And it is about the people that we have elected as legislators, as legislators too, because they are supposed to be acting as, to be performing, oversight functions, acting as checks and balances on the exercises of the executive. But when the people that are supposed to act as checks and balances on the exercises of the executive have abandoned their role, it is not left for the people to say, no, this is not what we have sent you to do.
I like to bring this to your notice here. I'm sure you probably may be aware that as we speak, 17 million Nigerians, young ones, we have 17 million out of school children. Over 10 million of that comes from the north. Kebbi, Sokoto, and some others. Yobe rank very high, about 67. The literacy level there is less than 40 in those three states. And you wonder, in this age and time, with huge allocations by states, interventions, you recall that the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, had nomadic education for the children of some.
Nomadic education has always been in place since the days of this man, the former VC of
ABU,
who later became a minister of education.
Yes,
What's his name now? I've forgotten.
I've equally forgotten. Now, how much? It's still about the subnationals. How can we arrest this ugly trend? Because part of the problems of even the protest and all of that was because of lack of education. You saw the children on the streets. Did they even understand what the protest was all about? The education was so low, it was non-existent. How can we arrest this ugly trend as we go?
The only way to arrest, you see, I want to believe that some of the governors are probably even happy to keep so many out of school, because they know that an educated mind is a liberated mind, who can see things for himself, who can be more inquisitive and more critical of whatever that is being done, in terms of governance. So, and I believe that these governors who are seeing these children out there, you understand, roaming the streets, and no effort is being made to take them off the streets and take them into the classroom, they are probably happy seeing them do that. But your question is, how can we stop this ugly trend? And there are no two ways. The only way is to continue for those of us that know the right thing, to continue either in the north, because poverty knows no tribe, it knows no religion. Whether in the north or in the south or in the east or wherever, pressure has to be mounted by those that know, using the right approach, using the right strategy, with the right focus on the governors.
Using the right approach, right strategy on the governors and the local government and all the elected officials.
Yes.
I thank you very much. I'm sure this is a topic that's so broad that we may not even be able to exhaust within even an hour. Analysis of some of the issues we should be focusing on, and then to avoid the next round of protest, the nature that you took, the dimension you took, to avoid it. I think we can arrest it, we can bring it to a stop. People need to know their rights, and how to request, how to demand for their rights at the right quarters, not necessarily in Abuja anyway. The destruction took place at the state levels, so that also tells you that the development ought to have actually been happening or been in place in those states, at those levels. the local government autonomy has just been granted? Are you asking questions? These funds that are going to be made available to these chairmen, are they going to use them judiciously for the purposes they were meant, or maybe go around to